Bonjour et bienvenue au Théâtre national de la presse. Je suis Boris Proulx, le président de la Tribune de la presse nationale. Welcome to the National Press Theatre for this press conference by the Prime Minister of Canada, Mark Carney. If you are in the room, please be mindful about the earpiece, not to put it too close to the microphone. This can create a hurtful audio feedback for interpreter friends. Comment on va procéder ce matin? Après quelques mots d'introduction du Premier ministre, nous allons procéder à la période de questions sur la base d'une question, une question de suivi. Ça sera principalement dans la salle aujourd'hui. On that, Prime Minister, you have the floor.
D'accord, merci, Monsieur Proulx. Bonjour tout le monde. Good morning, everyone. Just over a year ago, amidst a rapidly changing, more volatile world, Canadians elected our new government with a clear mandate to build a stronger, more independent, more resilient Canada. And shortly afterwards, I came here to the National Press Theatre to outline our plan. And so what I would like to do this morning is to review some of the actions that we've taken, some of the results we've achieved so far, and what's coming next. Je commencerai par évoquer la session parlementaire qui vient de s'achever. 19 projets de loi ont reçu la sanction royale en seulement 14 semaines. 2 autres textes législatifs importants seront adoptés par la Chambre des communes et soumis au Sénat. La plupart des lois que nous avons présentées visaient à répondre aux préoccupations immédiates des Canadiens et Canadiennes, réduire le coût de la vie et garantir votre sécurité. Nous avons travaillé en collaboration avec tous les partis pour y parvenir, notamment en nous associant aux conservateurs pour adopter la loi établissant l'allocation pour l'épicerie et les besoins essentiels. Nous maintiendrons cette détermination, cet esprit de coopération et cette ambition lors de la prochaine session. From day one, we have focused on our core missions: protecting our borders, our communities, and our way of life, transforming our economy by building our strength at home, increasing our independence by diversifying our partnerships abroad, and providing Canadians with a boost today and a bridge to a better tomorrow. Recognizing that the first job of government is to keep Canadians safe, we passed 6 laws to combat crime and give law enforcement the tools that they need. As of today, if someone tries to intimidate you in your community or prevent you from going to your place of worship, police officers will have the authority and the resources to arrest them because of the Combating Hate Act. As of today, if a criminal commits a violent offense, it will be up to them to prove to the court why they can be trusted to be released on bail because of the Bail and Sentencing Reform Act. As of today, if someone shares a fake sexualized image of you or your kids online, they can get up to 10 years in prison because of the Protecting Victims Act. We've also instituted the largest pay raise for the Canadian Armed Forces members in a generation because their pay should reflect the weight of their responsibilities. Recruitment to the CAF is now the highest in 3 decades. We have met NATO's original 2% defense target 5 years early, and for the first time since the fall of the Berlin Wall. We're on track for NATO's new 3.5% of GDP in 2035 defense expenditure target, including through a new submarine fleet, the world's 2nd largest fleet of icebreakers, and new aircraft, missile, and cyber defenses. We're upgrading our ports and air bases and asserting Canada's full sovereignty in the Arctic. Grâce à notre stratégie industrielle de défense et à notre agence d'investissement pour la défense, nous orientons nos dépenses de défense pour rendre le Canada plus sûr, plus indépendant et plus prospère. Autrement dit, nous misons sur le savoir-faire canadien et nouons des partenariats avec un éventail plus large d'alliés fiables. Nous sommes devenus le premier pays non européen à adhérer à l'instrument SAFE. C'est un Canada fort et confiant qui assume pleinement la responsabilité de sa défense.
up to the task.
Secondly,
defending ourselves.
we are building our strength at home with major investments in affordable housing, community infrastructure, public transit, and nation-building energy and transportation corridors. In less than a year, Build Canada Homes has already committed to building more than 11,000 new affordable homes through 14 different partnerships, with 4,500 homes either already under construction or about to break ground within the next 3 months. We're reducing the cost of buying and building homes. We eliminated the GST on homes worth up to $1 million for first-time buyers, and we signed new agreements with Ontario and British Columbia to cut development charges by up to 50%. Nous avons lancé le Fonds pour bâtir des collectivités fortes, doté de plus de 50 milliards de dollars, afin d'investir dans les infrastructures dont les communautés en pleine croissance ont besoin pour prospérer, des réseaux d'approvisionnement en eau moderne, des cliniques et des hôpitaux plus grands, et des centres communautaires. L'un des axes centraux de notre stratégie économique est d'accélérer la réalisation des grands projets. Depuis la création du Bureau des grands projets l'été dernier, nous avons présenté 23 projets d'intérêt national, des ports, des mines et des installations de GNL, dont les investissements totalisent plus de 130 milliards de dollars et qui aideront le Canada à se développer, à agir plus rapidement et à exporter davantage vers le reste du monde. Nous venons juste de commencer, mais nous obtenons déjà des résultats. L'an dernier, les travaux de construction de la nouvelle centrale nucléaire de Darlington en Ontario ont été lancés. En avril, nous avons entrepris le projet d'agrandissement du terminal de Contrecoeur au port de Montréal. Le mois dernier, nous avons donné le coup d'envoi au projet de mine de graphite Nouveau Monde au Québec. Et le mois prochain, nous lancerons le projet d'autoroute de la vallée de Mackenzie dans les territoires du Nord-Ouest. C'est un projet dont j'entends parler depuis mon enfance. Ce n'est que début. To build a more resilient and independent Canada, we've secured more than 20 economic and security partnerships across 5 continents over the past year. Our existing free trade deals already provide access to 1.5 billion consumers. We're now on track to double that market this year with deals from India to ASEAN. Despite challenges, Canada maintains the best deal of any major U.S. trading partnership, with 85% of our trade remaining tariff-free. We're working with the United States and Mexico to modernize CUSMA to provide greater certainty for workers and businesses and to create lasting prosperity across the continent. We're in the process of becoming the world's alternative to China as a reliable supplier of critical minerals. We're a trusted partner in a world that's anything but. And this September, we'll convene the world's largest investors in Toronto for the first ever Canada Investment Summit. Our goal is to transform the Canadian economy into the strongest in the G7. That's a big task, but the early signs are encouraging. We've taken back control of immigration. Asylum claims are down by a third. Temporary foreign workers arrivals down by half, and international student arrivals down by 60%. We can now carefully rebuild a sustainable immigration system consistent with Canadian values. We have reinforced the strongest fiscal position in the G7 by cutting operating spending growth from over 8% a year to less than 2%, all while boosting our vital social programs. Housing costs and rental affordability are improving, with the rent-to-income ratio falling to its lowest level in over 6 years. Canada is now creating jobs at twice the rate of the United States. Our business investments are growing in machinery and equipment at double-digit rates. Non-U.S. exports are up sharply, and we're on track to double them over the next decade. Foreign direct investment in Canada is at its highest level in 2 decades, running at twice the rate of our nearest G7 peer. And we now rank as the most attractive country in the world for infrastructure investment. We have the right plan, we're on track, but there's much, much more to do. And we have always recognized that some of the biggest payoffs from that plan will take time. That's why our government has been giving Canadians a boost today and a bridge to tomorrow. Our first act as new government was to cut income taxes for 22 million middle-class Canadians. Our first initiative this calendar year was to introduce the Canada Groceries and Essential Benefits for 12 million Canadians, meaning up to $1,890 for a family of 4. The first action we took as a majority government was to suspend the federal fuel excise tax, saving Canadians up to 10 cents a litre at the pump until Labor Day. We've cut taxes on homes, incomes, and investment, all while protecting the vital social programs that Canadians rely on every day, including childcare, pharmacare, and dental care. We've just launched a new national food security strategy to spur more competition for your hard-earned dollar, to produce more food at home, and to lower grocery bills. We're giving the Competition Bureau more resources to get Canadians a fair deal at the checkout counter. We're cracking down on surveillance pricing by protecting your privacy. Ce n'est pas seulement ce que nous construisons qui compte, mais aussi comment nous le faisons. Nous construisons de manière durable, qu'il s'agisse d'énergie conventionnelle à faible émission de carbone, de logements abordables et éco-énergétiques, de nouveaux incitatifs en faveur des véhicules électriques ou de la rénovation éco-énergétique des logements. Nous construisons de manière inclusive, en véritable partenariat avec les peuples autochtones. Nous construisons en solidarité avec les travailleurs, notamment en mettant en place l'initiative Une équipe Canada forte, qui prévoit jusqu'à 100 000 nouveaux stages dans les métiers spécialisés. Nous construisons à l'aide de ressources canadiennes. And we're building in the true spirit of cooperative federalism. I've met with the premiers 12 times over the past year. We're working together to make Canadian communities safer, to create one Canadian economy, and to build Canada strong. In recent months, our government has forged a new housing and infrastructure agreements with Quebec, Ontario, and British Columbia. We're working to expand uranium production in Saskatchewan and critical minerals production everywhere. We've announced a series of major infrastructure and defense projects across all the provinces and territories. All of those provinces and territories either have or are negotiating cooperation agreements to streamline regulatory processes. We've started as we mean to go on. We will deepen cooperative federalism with initiatives ranging from Alberta's proposed carbon capture and pipeline to the West Coast, to new hydroelectricity and renewable energy in the Atlantic provinces, and new ports and transportation corridors from Churchill to Grays Bay. We will accelerate investments in energy and transportation infrastructure to create jobs, strengthen our sovereignty, and share prosperity across current and future generations of Canadians. We will help Canadians harness the potential of AI while protecting your data, your privacy, and your kids. We will strengthen our partnerships abroad to open new marketplaces and to bolster our independence. And we will remain laser-focused on improving affordability and on ensuring that all Canadians share in the benefits of a Canada that is not just strong, but good. Because we are building Canada strong for all of the time. Thank you very much, merci, and I look forward to your questions.
Merci. Thank you, Prime Minister. We'll now go to the question period. A little reminder to please keep your question as short as possible so we can pass as many reporters as possible sur la base d'une question de suivi. On va commencer aujourd'hui en français avec Mylène Crête, La Presse.
Bonjour, M. Carney.
Bonjour, madame.
C'est un fusil de type SKS qui a été utilisé pour tuer le policier Mohamed Lamine Ben Redouane à Montréal il y a quelques jours. Est-ce que vous allez utiliser votre majorité parlementaire pour interdire la SKS?
Tout d'abord, je voudrais souligner mes condoléances extrêmes pour la famille de l'officier qui a été tué, que l'autre officier qui est gravement blessé, l'autre individu qui a été tué, et tous leurs proches, tous les collègues et de la ville Montréal et la province et tout le Canada. En ce qui concerne le SKS, il y a en ce qui concerne l'enquête qui est en train, c'est la responsabilité à ce moment-ci de la Sûreté du Québec, assistée bien sûr par la SPVM et quand il est nécessaire avec le GRC. Et ce n'est pas pour moi de confirmer des détails de cette enquête. Je suis en train de tous les détails, je crois. Je viens de recevoir un autre brevetage ce matin. En ce qui concerne le processus de prohibition de certaines armes à feu, nous sommes en train de faire une réforme de ce processus afin d'avoir les décisions des experts, c'est-à-dire le GRC, de décider lequel il faut faire une prohibition. Alors, pour le moment, c'est tout.
Est-ce que vous...
Okay. So I began. I'm going to give the whole answer, if I may, because I think it's important. I began by expressing, and I will reaffirm, my sincere condolences to the families, the friends, the colleagues of the officer who was killed, his colleague who was gravely injured, all those affected in the SPVM by those events, the civilian who died, his family, Montreal, all the citizens of Montreal, all of Quebec and Canada, we're all affected by this tragedy. The inquiry, the investigation, more precisely, is led by, overseen by the Sûreté du Québec, obviously assisted by the SPVM, and as necessary by the RCMP. I'm receiving regular updates on procedures of that. It is not for me to confirm specific aspects of that investigation. I leave those to the relevant authorities who make these decisions, as I know from previous circumstances, make these decisions in a very deliberate way, consistent with their responsibilities. So I leave it to them. And then with respect to the arms control and firearm decisions around specifics, we are in the process of moving towards an expert-led system, specifically by the RCMP. We would have to introduce legislation for that to make those determinations, to make and to provide the full resources and the direct determinations so that they are made clearly, consistently in advance and particularly as there are new firearms coming on, that they make those decisions. Thank you.
Ma question de suivi,
Oui.
c'est est-ce que vous considérez que l'interdiction des armes à feu de style armes d'assaut atteint l'objectif de prévenir les tueries de masse?
OK. Je fais référence à ma dernière réponse en ce qui concerne les détails de l'enquête. Ce n'est pas pour moi de confirmer des détails de l'enquête. Ce n'est pas approprié. Non, il faut faire plus, ça c'est clair. Et c'est un enjeu complexe. Ça inclut, oui, les armes de feu, les armes d'assaut, mais il faut avoir des... je peux souligner, c'est pas probablement, ce n'était pas le cas dans ce circonstance, mais en général, c'est nécessaire de resserrer les règles pour le libre sur caution, de renforcer les punitions pour des crimes violents, de renforcer des punitions pour des crimes agressifs contre les femmes. Okay? Et ce sont tous les mesures que le gouvernement vient de mettre devant le Parlement. Et dans seulement un cas, le C9, la loi contre la haine, où nous avons reçu le soutien du Bloc. Dans tous les autres cas, c'est seulement le gouvernement qui a eu le courage de resserrer nos lois contre la violence. Alors, c'est un aspect de la réponse. Ce n'est pas tout, mais c'est important. Et nous avons respecté nos engagements pendant la campagne électorale et les autres partis.
Next question, Carl Duggan, Canadian Press.
Thank you for taking our questions. Mr. Prime Minister, how would you characterize your discussion with Donald Trump in advance of the NATO talks? And is the U.S. finally getting the sense that we're increasing our defense spending, or do they still see us as a free rider?
Well, first, the President called me yesterday. We had a long discussion with him and at times some of his senior officials, Secretary Hegseth and his Commander-in-Chief, on a range of issues, some related to NATO, some related to the situation in Iran and the broader Middle East, both current and structural issues. It's a very constructive conversation. There's things we're working on together. I think those are best left till they come to fruition. It's let's be clear. Canada is pulling its weight now in NATO. There's more to do, without question, but we have moved to meet the 2% target, as you know. We already meet the 1.5% target for defense resilience, defense industrial. We have a track to getting overall 4% by the end of this decade. We have some major procurement decisions. We just made one on Global Eye surveillance. We have others coming up. Submarines is an obvious one. And we're building out our infrastructure in the Arctic, assuming full sovereignty in all senses of the word in the Arctic, and very importantly, working with other NATO allies in a more detailed cooperation is one of the things I raised yesterday. So with the Nordics, with the UK, with France, with Germany, in terms of the overall Arctic security. So to protect the Arctic, you need to protect the Baltics and on up. So I think what we answer first, we answer to Canadians and protecting Canadians. We answer to our allies in terms of fulfilling our roles and protecting our allies. And I'll just end with this, which is that, I'll give you your follow-up. We are at the front lines in Latvia with Operation Reassurance, and we are one of the most important contributors to support of Ukraine, including security guarantees for Ukraine.
Thank you. And as a follow-up on another matter, your immigration minister had said that something she wasn't sure what had happened with C3 citizenship claims, and that's why some have been told to surrender their citizenship proof, and all are now under review. Don't those people deserve a timely explanation of what had happened?
The simple answer is yes, and I'll be following up to ensure they get that. Thank you.
Next up, Walid Tatam, Western Standard.
Good morning, Prime Minister. Willie Tam with the Western Standard over here. I'm just following up from a colleague's question, French previously. Based on the recent tragedy in Montreal, the mayor of Montreal is renewing calls for extended gun control. Of course, Quebec has a relatively strict gun regime, and so does Canada. Your critics are criticizing your current approach in terms of, in their view, targeting law-abiding firearms owners, and that won't solve the problem of public safety and security. What do you say to those critics?
Well, I'd say, and I'm going to refer to my previous answer, I'll expand. Ultimately, we're addressing violent crime, the most heinous violent crimes, crimes motivated by hate, crimes motivated by misogyny, crimes motivated by, well, these aspects potentially including, and I'm not referring to the specific circumstances as I say this, but potentially including acts of terrorism. We need a multifaceted approach here. Part of it is gun control and ensuring that with respect to gun control, one of our responsibilities, of course, is to act within our constitutional responsibilities. As you would know, there are Supreme Court challenges and Supreme Court review that is in train, possible decision next year in terms of our firearm, some aspects of our firearm measures. So we have to act consistent, obviously, within the law, number one. Number two, as I said earlier, we strongly believe that, and we've shown, we followed through on that belief with legislation, the tightening of a series of legislation, particularly with respect to repeat offenders, acts with violence, acts with firearms, acts with gangs, violence against women, crimes in and of themselves, which need to be punished and addressed appropriately. Also, as evidence has shown over time, crimes that it's a terrible euphemism, but can be precursors to more violent acts. So we're acting in those aspects as well, and obviously we work with provinces and municipalities where we can.
Just a follow-up on another area. Your government has recently announced some spending measures on promoting peace between Israelis and Palestinians. So I want to revisit your stated objective. You said a year ago you wanted to see a, quote, Zionist Palestinian state. Can you clarify if you still support that stance, and do you consider yourself a Zionist? In the following respect is what I said, and it's consistent with our announcement a little less than a year ago around moving to a process to recognize the state of Palestine, which is a decision we took, and I stand by this, we took because the possibility, the prospect, the probability of a two-state solution was receding. Now, what is a two-state solution? This answers your question, which is a free state of Palestine living in peace and security with Israel. Okay, recognizing not just Israel's, quote, right to exist, but to live in full freedom and security. And those are the two core elements of that. And what's necessary for that to be achieved, many things are necessary for that to be achieved. Part of what's necessary for that to be achieved are a series of reforms by the Palestinian Authority in the West Bank. There is progress on those. There are a range of other issues that are required in order to stabilize the situation. We've called for an end to these illegal settlements, settler violence. We have instituted sanctions. We're working with regional partners. We're working with all interested counterparties to try to move that forward so we can get to that end state, which is still, as you would know, some way off.
Prochaine question, Valérie Gamache, Radio-Canada.
Bonjour, Monsieur le Premier ministre. Je voulais vous parler d'unité canadienne. Vous avez nommé dans les derniers jours un conseiller pour ce qui est du référendum en Alberta. Au Québec, la menace référendaire, elle est bien réelle avec la possible élection du Parti québécois en octobre prochain. Est-ce que vous faites une distinction entre les deux mouvements référendaires et est-ce que vous avez une approche différente face à ces deux possibilités-là?
Au fond, Au fond, l'approche est la même et c'est une approche positive. C'est mon job de poursuivre le fédéralisme coopératif. Alors, fait de progrès avec, par exemple, avec le Québec, avec une grande entente d'infrastructures. C'est infrastructure de santé, infrastructure de transport en commun, infrastructure pour le logement abordable, infrastructure communautaire, 10 milliards de dollars. Et c'est une entente, c'est un accord entre le gouvernement du Canada, le gouvernement du Québec, entre moi et Madame la Première ministre Fréchette, une série de décisions qui ont été bloquées depuis des années. Alors, on peut travailler ensemble avec le Québec. En ce qui concerne le fédéralisme coopératif avec l'Alberta, on a, oui, le protocole d'entente qui maintenant est un accord de mise en œuvre pour un oléoduc possible, mais pour les grands investissements renouvelables, nucléaire, dans les domaines d'intelligence artificielle, dans le stockage de carbone. Ça, c'est il y a plusieurs exemples, mais premièrement, l'approche est la même. Les initiatives sont différentes parce que les économies sont différentes. Ça c'est clair. En ce qui concerne le référendum en Alberta, il y aura un référendum en Alberta. À ce moment-ci, c'est une possibilité, c'est une hypothèse, c'est un scénario au Québec. Alors, pour le moment, il y a un enjeu immédiat en Alberta. Oui, j'ai un conseiller, mais faut le dire, mon chef de cabinet vient du Québec. Ma chef du cabinet adjoint vient du Québec. Ma porte-parole vient du Québec. Et mon ministre des Finances vient du Québec. Ma ministre de l'Industrie vient du Québec. Alors, j'ai beaucoup... Et surtout, évidemment, mon lieutenant du Québec vient du Québec. Alors, j'ai beaucoup de conseils en ce qui concerne les enjeux pour le Québec. Mais pour le moment, avec le Québec, c'est le fédéralisme coopératif tout le temps, chaque jour, n'importe quelle province, n'importe quel territoire. The approach for Alberta and Quebec is the same. The question was asked about referendum. I made the distinction that there is an actual referendum in Alberta. On October 19th, it's a possibility, it's a scenario in Quebec. So there's one difference there, but the approach, and I'm just going to give the core of the answer, which is the same, which is cooperative federalism. In Quebec, we have just agreed a few weeks ago, Premier Fréchette and myself, a $10 billion infrastructure package that a series of agreements in community infrastructure, health infrastructure, public transport, affordable housing, infrastructure for affordable housing. These are deals, if you will, that have been held up for years. We've unblocked it. We're both focused on delivering for the citizens of Quebec. Same in Alberta. It's a different economy, different province, different immediate needs, but with the implementation agreement around carbon capture, around nuclear, around renewables, around preparations for artificial intelligence, and of course around possible pipeline to the west. Working together, getting results for the citizens. I make the distinction between the referendum one place and another. Sorry.
En suivi?
Oui, madame. Yann.
Et comme deuxième question, il y a quand même d'ici la fin de l'année 6 élections partielles que vous devrez déclencher. Est-ce que vous comptez les faire en même temps, en différentes séquences? Et est-ce que vous craignez peut-être que ça puisse, ça puisse intervenir dans votre majorité, que ces 6 élections partielles-là?
Well, tout le monde peut compter. Il y a des possibilités, il y a raison d'avoir des élections, ça c'est clair. Et les électeurs vont décider dans chaque situation. Je n'avais pas encore pris les décisions pour les élections partielles. Probablement, ils ne seront pas tous dans la même date. En effet, il y a une élection, par exemple, au Québec. Il y a des enjeux là. Ouais.
Next up, sorry.
Oui, non.
Marika Walsh, Globe and Mail.
Hi.
Is my mic on?
Yeah. Ooh,
I want to go back to your announcement last week on buying the vacant units in BC. It's taken a lot of people by surprise. Some developers have said they didn't ask for this. There were, though, a lot of developers at your fundraiser in BC in February. Did anybody ask you for this from the development community?
First off, thank you for asking me that question, because not the last bit, I'll answer that last bit, but first off, no developer asked for this for me directly, so that's a simple answer. But I want to go to the broader issue, and I want to say up front, I don't think we've done, self included, a particularly good job of rolling this out and explaining exactly what it is. So with your indulgence, I'm going to say, I think it's important to say a few words of what this is and what this isn't. We start, as we always do, with Canadians. We don't start with developers. We don't start, what? Yes, it's great that there are developers and they build condos. What we care about is affordable housing, enough affordable housing, in this case, for the people of British Columbia. And the province of British Columbia, which initiated the idea, sees an opportunity, potentially given what's happening in that market, to convert some of these condos that are lying unsold to affordable housing, particularly rent-to-buy affordable housing for, and you can anticipate, so these are people, in many cases, young families, but people who don't have money for a down payment, but can build in that equity over time, rent-to-buy. So there's an opportunity there. You have a market in Vancouver, which is, particularly Greater Vancouver, Lower Mainland, which is, absorption rates have moved down to about 60%. They sort of average on 80% in a normal market. So in other words, there's more condos that are there. We're potentially, because it's a question of the actual transactions when and if they come, providing about 10% of the financing with the federal government for this in a way that can make the transaction work. So it would be buying distressed condos. Of course, the developer is not going to admit that they're going to have distressed condos, right? But we don't care about the developer. We care about the person, the family that can potentially move into the home. So buying them at a discount at the right time, financing, terming that out, setting up a rent-to-own structure for truly affordable housing. That's an opportunity. We will look at any opportunity across the country that gets more affordable housing to Canadians. Can't do it all, but where we see dislocation, where we see opportunities, where that's the best use of the dollar, we will look at that, and certainly when the province brings that and brings ideas and brings an opportunity in a market where it's there, that makes sense to look at. There's no specific transaction, there's no specific contemplated transaction at this stage, but there is an opportunity, and if it's there, and I think the issue will be if and when there are transactions, then judge those transactions on the basis of the economics of that, not on the concept. So we haven't done a good job of, which is why one of the reasons why you're asking the question, of explaining all the economics of that. But there's an opportunity, and if it's there, we'll pursue it for the family.
And just to be clear, so when you say the feds are looking at 10% of the financing, what is the dollar value of that 10%
I think
of what?
the dollar value is, the overall dollar value contemplated is about 1.4 billion, 1.45 billion, which is federal and provincial, so 10% of that, 145 million, yeah.
And so that will be all rent to buy and
It
only
will-
in BC?
well, it'll depend
or
on-
will the government also be
Sorry,
buying these?
Well, look, I don't know how much, we can give you, we'll get someone to give you, it depends on what's available, Ms. Walsh. And, you know, as things become available, as the structure's there, again, I think the core point, and I'll stop here, is that there's an opportunity that potentially gets affordable housing to families, particularly those who can't get the down payment together. And if that opportunity is there and we can convert condos in order to do that, we will do that with British Columbia because they're looking to do it. And that's an effective way of, that is a more effective way of getting affordable housing immediately into people's hands than building again. So I stopped there, sorry.
We'll move to Tom Perry, CBC.
Hi, Prime Minister.
Sure.
On the question of Alberta separation, we've heard that dozens of your MPs are going to be going to the Calgary Stampede this summer in advance of the referendum out there. I'm wondering if you're planning on going, but also how much time do you plan on spending in Alberta this summer talking about the separation question, and what's your message going to be?
Yeah, well, I'm always happy to go back to my home province, and I will be going to the Stampede, so I'm looking forward to that. And I'll be there, you know, look, I've probably been there 6 times in the last year, give or take, and would expect to be there several times, just normal course. Obviously, we're doing a lot more with Alberta. I'm not always in Alberta. I talked to Premier Smith 2 days ago. She was in Alberta, I wasn't, but it was about Alberta. Look, I think what's the core message? First is Canada's worth fighting for. I mean, this is the greatest country in the world. We're not perfect. We can get better, but Canada's worth fighting for. And standing up for Canada and supporting Canada is important. Motivation is always an issue in any vote referendum. Secondly, that we're stronger together. We're working on, and I give the example, I won't belabor it. I know we want to make sure everyone can get questions in. But the example of the work we're doing with Alberta on the pipeline, which requires Alberta. It requires British Columbia, Indigenous peoples cooperation. It requires foreign buyers. It requires the federal government. And it's all of us working together which creates that possibility. It requires new carbon capture and technology and being put in place. The federal government is playing an important role. We're not the proponent, we're not the sole role, but we're playing an important role in helping to make that. That is possible because of Canada and because of the goodwills there and the cooperative federalism. There are many other opportunities, a series of opportunities Premier and I discussed away from that, which we're working on. And I think we're worth fighting for. Canada's worth fighting for. Stand up and be counted. That we are stronger together. We can get better. We're getting better, but we're stronger together, and there's real examples there. And then thirdly, this is not this is a real referendum. It's not question about a question, free option. It's a dangerous bluff. We're literally at 10 years anniversary of Brexit, and I saw firsthand what gets sold in these referenda, that everything's going to be easy, that you can keep your passport, you can keep the currency, you can stay in the country and leave it at the same time. You get all the benefits, but none of it. And you see what's happened in the United Kingdom. It's very reminiscent. At a minimum, it's years of uncertainty before the subsequent question comes, right at a time the world is fundamentally uncertain, right at a time Alberta and Canada, Quebec, Ontario, the territories, the whole country are moving to the forefront, right at the time when we're seen as one of the most trustworthy, reliable, desirable countries to do business with, and we shouldn't mess that up.
As a follow-up, sir, on a different topic, 24 Sussex Drive. You've said that you'd like to see future prime ministers take up residence there.
Yes.
Why? And why do you think that's important? And what would you like to see happen to this building, and why is it so important?
Great question. I'll have a press conference tomorrow to answer that. Honest. I'll just let you know I'll have a press conference tomorrow to answer that, but I'll have more time.
Really?
Wait. Wait.
All right.
No. We got it there's something new every day, Tonda. No, it's just demain.
We'll go to Abigail.
There's one question I'm not going to answer today, which is
Abigail
24/7.
Biman, CTV. Thank you.
Great.
Ambassador Hoekstra told CTV News on Tuesday that Canada and the U.S. aren't, quote, anywhere close in terms of a deal. You just spoke with the president yesterday. Do you agree?
What I have seen with the president is that you're not close to make a deal and then you make a deal. I've seen that in different cases. It doesn't mean the deals are good deals, but it means being prepared, having done the work, knowing what you want. So both things can be true.
The ambassador also said he believed that the next steps would really be at the president and prime ministerial level. I'm wondering if you agree with that. And also, I mean, you spoke a lot about your call being about the Middle East. How much did CUSMA play a role in your call?
We didn't discuss CUSMA yesterday. Look, ultimately, a breakthrough, if you will, on this will be at that level. We operate a little differently. We're very team oriented here in Canada, so it matters. Madame Charette, Monsieur Dominic LeBlanc, Ambassador Wiseman, the provincial premiers feeding in, the advisory council that we have. Discussions with a broad range of stakeholders. All of that feeds into our preparations for this, knowing what we want and what we don't. There'll come a point, there'll likely come a point where that possibility emerges. We also judge the possibility. I mean, we could sign a bad deal this afternoon, right? We could have signed a bad deal a year ago. We're not going to sign a bad deal. So it has to be a real deal.
Merci, thank you. Unfortunately, it's past noon. I've been told we have no more time. Cela met un terme à cette conférence de presse.
May I just say a word on Venezuela? Yeah. OK. Merci. Merci à vous. Merci tout le monde d'être venu. With respect to Venezuela, this is it's obviously fast-developing tragedy. The two earthquakes, over hundreds of people died. We are moving to provide humanitarian aid. You can expect further communication on that later today. We're working with our partners directly, and we will scale things as appropriate to move forward. But I'm going to make a general point, which is that one of the challenges I've discovered, I think others knew it, but I've discovered in this role, is that there are a series of countries with whom we have not seen eye to eye, to put it mildly, where we do not have representation in the countries. Iran, je vais la faire. Iran, Venezuela, two examples. There are others. And then that puts us at a disadvantage, first and foremost, to helping Canadians that are in these countries. Consular cases, we've had to rely on allies and countries that also who aren't our natural allies to help us, particularly in Iran, and help Canadians, get Canadians out. Venezuela situation. Now, there's on one level, there's very good reasons for that, but it means that we're not fulfilling a basic responsibility as government, and we're working through this. But I'm going to give you my view. Is that engagement is not endorsement. Having an embassy, having consular services in a country does not mean we endorse the policies of that country. It does mean we have diplomatic relations. It does mean that we have people there that can help Canadians, and in human tragedies can provide more immediate on-the-ground assistance where we can be helpful. And so, and yes, that takes resources, but moving towards that is, in my judgment, decision to be made, is what we need to do. En français, no, I'm not about to make that no. We've had no discussions about that. Sorry, this is we have press conferences breaking out. So it's pandemonium. We've had no discussion. I'm making a general point. which has specific examples. Et je vais faire un résumé en français si je peux. Il y a un problème en général dans des cas comme en Iran et en Venezuela, où nous n'avons pas, le Canada n'a pas une ambassade, pas de personnel là. Et il y a des Canadiens et Canadiennes là. Il y a des situations terribles, des crises humanitaires, et c'est bien difficile d'agir rapidement. Selon moi, on doit changer la politique parce que c'est pas une question que d'être engagé, d'être là. C'est pas une approbation du régime, n'importe quel régime. Mais c'est un service des Canadiens et des Canadiens et d'être humain en même temps. Alors, mais ce sera un sujet de notre conférence de presse. Okay. Merci.
Et on a très hâte. Merci beaucoup. Ceci met un terme à cette conférence de presse. Thank you very much, colleague, for your professionalism, your patience. Je vous souhaite un bel été.